What's going on, everybody? We're back with some more
All right, here we
Marvel
go with
Snap.
game two.
Today
The
we're going to
first
be taking a look
location
at
here
Game
is
2
X-Men.
of the original reveal trailer. I unfortunately still did not get access to the closed beta, so we're going to continue with gameplay breakdowns until we have access ourselves to start playing, and maybe we'll start going over some card reviews and things like that. If you guys have a favorite content creator or streamer that's had some awesome matches in their beta access that we should review, definitely let me know down below in the comments section. But for now, let's get started on Game 2. First, the location revealed is X Mansion. At the end of Turn 3, add a random card here for each player. So that's a thing you really want to keep in mind, because we've already seen things like Namor has +5 power if no other card is at the location. So you can't really play Namor on X Mansion expecting that +5 power, because no matter what, on Turn 3, a random card is going to get played here for you. There's other cards that require a couple other minions to be at the same location. So I think actually
at the end of turn
Ant-Man
3,
is
add
one
a
of them.
random
Let's
card
confirm.
here for each player. So we'll have to see how that affects things at the end of turn 3. I have two options here. I can play Ant-Man or Yondu. Ant-Man gets a bonus on ongoing.
Okay, yeah. So Ant-Man needs 3 other cards here. So you can know for sure that you don't need to play 3 cards. You only need to play 2 other ones, because X Mansion is going to add a card automatically. So you can potentially try and bank on Ant-Man having +3 power in a couple turns, as long as you can play at least 2 other cards there.
Making that a little bit easier for me. My opponent didn't play anything on turn 1, so here it is turn 2. Middle location is Crimson Cosmos.
Next location revealed is Crimson Cosmos. 1, 2, and 3 cost cards cannot be played here. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you're building your deck, and your deck is mostly or entirely 1, 2, and 3 cost cards, you have to keep in mind that you may run into Crimson Cosmos, which means you would have a location that is essentially unwinnable for you, which would then put you in a situation where you are 100% committed to trying to win the other 2 locations, which is not a situation you want to put yourself in. You want to be able to try and at least fight for all 3 locations, so you can pivot depending on how gameplay is going to try and maximize your odds of winning. If you completely remove one of the 3 locations from the equation, your odds of winning are going to drop dramatically. So when it comes to the deck building situation, you have to know that you need at least a couple cards that are above 3 cost because of Crimson Cosmos's just existence. The fact that it's in the game means it's something you have to keep in mind in deck building, so that you don't lose. And it becomes even more important in like a tournament or competitive setting where potentially deck lists are open. If I can see your deck list is only 1, 2, and 3 cost cards, and I know that I don't need to fight for Crimson Cosmos, it makes a massive advantage in my favor.
Most 1, 2, and 3 cost cards can't be played here. I only have 1, 2, and 3 cost cards, so that's not great for me. I do have 2 energy to spend this turn, so I'm going to play Rocket Raccoon. If I guess correctly where my opponent's going to play, I'll get a little bit of a bonus there for Rocket Raccoon. I can also play Yondu because I have an extra energy to spend, and I'll toss Yondu over to the right location, and it destroys the top card of my opponent's deck.
So that's a little mini theme we've seen so far. It seems the core members of the Guardians of the Galaxy all have a on reveal. If your opponent also played a card in this location, they gain power. I'm pretty sure we've seen it from Star-Lord already, and I'm fairly sure I've seen it from Drac. I haven't seen Gamora in game yet, so I could be wrong on that front. But it just looks like it's a little mini similar design for the core members of the Guardians.
I did guess correctly where my opponent's going to play, so I got that.
So Rocket's going to get that boost here. Yondu's going to kick the card off the top. It will be Star-Lord, and
Elektra
Star-Lord has that as well. And we've seen Elektra last game, and this is just a really good example of how powerful she can be. Obviously, it's a random 1 cost, so it could have hit Ant-Man. It was a 50-50 there. But in this scenario, playing Elektra removed the 4 power Rocket Raccoon from the location, so that's just a huge swing. That's a 4-point swing right there.
Rocket Raccoon I just played. That's unfortunate.
Also makes Ant-Man weaker in the long run because it's less likely that location gets filled up. But now we have another location revealed, and it's nowhere. Whenever you play a card here, destroy it. So Yondu was safe because Yondu was already summoned here. But things like Ben's Brood in hand, it will probably summon the 2 tokens. We'll have to confirm that. But the Brood itself will get destroyed. So just knowing that nowhere exists, you need cards that either summon tokens. I don't know if it exists, but potentially cards that can move around the battlefield, or potentially that cards that summon themselves to a location and another location. So for example, if there was a card that says like summon a copy of me to another location, I could play that on X Mansion, and then the other copy would get played on Nowhere, and I assume that would go through.
When you play a card here, destroy it. So I got very lucky that I got Yondu in
Let's see
before
how that
it
plays
revealed,
out throughout
so
the
it
rest of
didn't
the
get
game.
affected by its trigger.
Ben's also
That's
gonna
huge
play
for me because my
Okoye
opponents
here.
may not be able to get a card
let's see what
into
Okoye
Nowhere.
does.
It's already, now any card that he plays there is going to be immediately destroyed. So he's going to have to be pretty crafty to be able to sneak something in there. And I've already got a winning position at that location. So I'm going to play a Okoye. Okoye says add 2 power.
Give every card in your deck +2 power. So if you can get that out on turn 2, that's a very powerful
Every
card.
card I draw from now on will get a bonus.
Depending on
this is turn
your
3,
deck
so after
as
this
well,
turn,
obviously.
we're going to see what pops out of X Mansion here. Hopefully it's something good for me.
So let's see the X Mansion reveals. It is turn 3.
Here goes a Okoye, giving me
play
+2
their
power
cards
to every
first.
card in my deck. My opponent played Rogue. Oh
Rogue.
no.
3 energy. Steal an ongoing ability from a random enemy card at this location. That's interesting. Obviously, it's pretty good. Steal. I don't know the exact breadth of ongoing effects, so it can be as powerful as ongoing effects are in the game. But it seems slightly expensive for the ongoing cards I've seen so far. Like paying 3 power or 3 energy for 1 power plus stealing the ongoing. I guess it could be a big swing. I definitely think Rogue is gonna be a good card. I just need to see more of the ongoing abilities before I can definitively say. But I could also see Rogue just completely stealing some wins. Like if Ant-Man was the difference at this location, stealing Ant-Man's ongoing ability
Ant-Man does
would
nothing,
like
and Rogue
close
has
the game
Ant-Man's
out.
power. And let's see what pops out of the X Mansion. Death is...
Wow. Okay. I didn't know X Mansion was going to be quite that strong. So the fact that it can give you a 12 power card for free is absolutely insane.
Great for me.
That is a huge power swing.
Humongous.
I can see some salt coming from that for sure.
Hobgoblin, oh no.
Ooh, okay. That is another really interesting mechanic. Hobgoblin has -8 power, but gives it to your opponent. That has so many different like layers to it that I love. Being able to give it to your opponent, reduce their points is awesome. Each location can only hold 4 cards. So in this scenario, it's going to fill up X Mansion for Ben, so he can't really fight anymore for that location. Yeah, it's just awesome to be able to pass cards to your opponent, reduce their points, block their play space.
Power, but
that's really,
Hobgoblin
really cool.
flies
I hope
over
there's more
to
cards
my
like that.
side of the location, giving me
So like now
-8
Ben
power.
gets -8. He's locked at 6 points. His Ant-Man lost his ongoing ability. So 6 points is all Ben can ever get at X Mansion for the rest of the game. He's got 4 cards here. He's got 6 points. That's it. So Ben's opponent just has to beat 6, and that location is completely locked up for Ben's opponent outside of any other on-play effects that maybe could destroy cards or buff cards at a location.
And taking the last slot at X Mansion, which is...
So now it's turn 4. Ben still has only 2 and 3 cost cards in hand, so he can't play anything to Chrism Cosmos. I guess we'll confirm the interaction. I assume the play would be to play Brood in Nowhere, since Brood summons 2 tokens. And then we'll see if the destruction comes before or after the on-play ability. And that's going to be really huge for determining just how disruptive Nowhere is. Nowhere is going to be disruptive either way, but if it destroys before an on-play effect, that is gigantic.
These cards at the middle location because of its effect.
See.
So I could play something in Nowhere, but it's going to just do its on reveal and then get immediately destroyed. So Nakia could buff the cards in my hand, but that doesn't help that much. I can't play them anywhere that matters. I'm going to play Brood to the right. It's going to summon Broodlings. They're not played. They're just added, so they don't get affected by Nowhere's triggered effect. Gives me a little bit more power to Nowhere.
The summon effect does happen before the destruction. That is really good to know.
That location without
so Brood will die, but the Broodlings will stay. So Ben will go up to 6 power on Nowhere.
There's Nightcrawler, so that's a way to sneak a card on.
Okay, that's interesting as well. So you can move cards. There is movement mechanics. So you can play a card outside of Nowhere and move it into Nowhere if you need to. And it looks like Ironheart was also played.
Ironheart can...
Gives 3 other cards +2 power, but Ironheart has 0 power itself, and it looks like if a card has 0 power exactly, it disappears.
Buffs 3 of your cards. So actually, has a little bit of stronger Nightcrawler now.
That's interesting.
Which is significant because if I hadn't played
so
the
now
Broodlings,
Nightcrawler has 4 power
Yondu
if it moves over. It is turn 5, so we know that X Mansion's locked up. Nowhere is not fully locked up, but we're going to say trending heavily towards Ben winning it. You have 2 plays of setup here, and this is where you have to make some decisions. We know Namor has an effect of +5 power if he's the only card at a location. and we know that more than likely Ben is not going to win X Mansion. So, if I was in Ben's position, I would assume X Mansion is a loss, lean towards Nowhere being a win, and my next 2 turns, because you have turn 5 and you have turn 6, my next 2 turns would be focused on how do I make sure I win Crimson Cosmos as best as I can, so that I get the 2 out of 3. So in this situation, you're probably setting up to play Namor on Crimson Cosmos on turn 6, since he'll have at least 12 power. And I'm not sure what Nakia does.
Been defeated by my
Mr. Sinister just splits himself, so I don't think he would be the play.
Crawler. So this is tough. I could just play Namor this turn, but I think I'm going to play Nakia. It's going to get destroyed, but it's going to buff Namor.
Okay, yeah, so that's exactly along the lines I was thinking. So Nakia is going to get played, but we already know from Brood that the summon effect will trigger. So Nakia will give everything in hand 2 power, which also buffs Namor to 9 power. And then additionally, Nowhere is going to destroy Nakia right away, which is fine, because Ben's probably assuming Nowhere is locked up. Let me try and make my turn 6 play on Crimson Cosmos as strong as I possibly can, and set up for that. And side thought process would be, why would you just play Namor on Crimson Cosmos? Obviously, you can't play Mr. Sinister there, or else the +2 power from Nakia. It would be better to play Namor and Mr. Sinister on a location versus just Namor, because Mr. Sinister would then be 8 power versus the +5 Namor gets from his ability. But since you can't play Mr. Sinister on Crimson Cosmos, it is definitely the best play. And right now, your only play is to try and set up Namor as your final play on Crimson Cosmos.
Namor, just that little bit more, which is helpful, because I think it'll be the only card I end up playing the Crimson Cosmos, and I want it to be as strong as it possibly can be. And I'm looking at my board right now, and I'm thinking, I've got Nowhere. I feel good about that.
Yeah,
my opponent's going to
he's kind of saying what we were just saying before.
But I have a big Namor.
That he's probably losing X Mansion. He's probably going to win Nowhere.
I feel like I'm probably going to win this one,
You got to fight for Crimson Cosmos
snap.
now.
And
so that's another mechanic, the snap mechanic. So 1 cube. Cubes are like your rank points. On turn 6, cubes always double. So if you quit before turn 6, you gain or lose 1 point. If you play through to the end of the game, you gain or lose 2 cubes. And then both you and your opponent can also snap, and snapping doubles. Snapping is basically saying, like, I think I'm going to win. It also can be used kind of like poker to bluff your opponent. So ranked games can be worth anywhere from 1 to 8 points, depending on how many doubles take effect. So Ben's going to double here, which raises the stakes from 1 to 2.
I feel really, really good about winning this game, so I would like to play for more cubes. And your opponent is thinking, wow, okay, I could retreat right now for the 1. If I stay in, I risk 2. And they want me to leave because they have a crappy hand. They decided to stay in. So Nightcrawler moves to Nowhere.
Plays are going to happen.
Winning X Mansion, and it's not enough to win Nowhere. Nakia dies. Iron Man. Oh, well, that's really interesting. Well, 0 times.
So we're setting up for Ben's opponent is also setting up for a powerful.
So they're not
Crimson Cosmos scenario.
They're not winning it right now, but any card they play there next is going to be humongous. It's going to be very hard for me to deal with. If they play Hulk or something, that's going to be 22 power. Namor's not enough to deal with something like that. They're going to have a huge... Oh, no, they snapped also. Well, that's terrible for
counter
me.
Bluff.
Because if...
So this is something that I'm curious about. So Crimson Cosmos says 1, 2, and 3 cost cards can't be played here. So in this situation, knowing that you can't really fight for Nowhere, if you're going to move Nightcrawler off of X Mansion, I'm going to assume that Ben's opponent probably has like some 1 or 2 drop that they can toss onto X Mansion to push that back over the top to win it. But knowing that you can't really contest Nowhere, why wouldn't you move your Nightcrawler to Crimson Cosmos, thus starting off with 8 points on Crimson Cosmos for your eventual, let's say you have another card to play there on the end game?
That just guarantees in my mind
here is
that they're going to have some huge card
Nightcrawler
there.
can't move to Crimson Cosmos because it's a 1-drop, but the language there doesn't suggest that.
Yeah, if they snap now, the final cube's going to be at 8 because
so Ben's going to play his Namor play, which will be 14 power
every game, and once because my opponent just snapped. So
and you can't play Mr. Sinister
in a normal
anymore.
game on the ranked ladder here, I would absolutely retreat.
So let's see what the play winds up being.
I'm showing the game off for there's no chance I think I win this game. Oh, he played 2 cards. He's going to try and go for expansion as well. Rocks.
So he's going to get a 6, which will double to 12. That reveal doesn't do anything useful.
That's only 6 power. Doubled, it's not enough to...
He has a 2 power card, which will give him X-Mansion. But yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. That 6 times 2 is only 12. So he loses Chrisman Cosmos. He was always going to lose Nowhere. X-Mansion, he got back over the top. But if he moved that Nightcrawler to the middle, that would have been a win for Ben's opponent. It definitely seemed like an odd play there.
To defeat my Namor...
But maybe they can't.
If I hadn't stayed in here for real, I would have won this game. He was a bluff. He was trying to get me to concede so he could
definitely win. A lot of interesting plays, and again, just more examples of how dynamic and how much more strategy these locations add to the gameplay. Just super fantastic. But yeah, that's it for Game 2, guys. Like I said, let me know if there's any other content creators or streamers that have good gameplays that we can break down. I will keep trying to get myself beta access. But until then, we'll keep doing these non-gameplay type of videos. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.